Welcome back to the Home Energy Show. Today we're going to be talking about all things solar, and we have a special guest with us today, Dr. Andrew Crossland from SolarZero. SolarZero based in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Thankfully for our carbon footprint, Andrew has only had to travel over from Doncaster. And we also have Tom, no doctor, nothing.
Yeah, no doctor. Not yet, anyway.
One day.
A professor of marketing.
Yeah.
So, Andrew, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and SolarZero?
Yeah, will do. And great to be here. Andrew Crossland, I've been working renewables for about 10 years. Did a PhD on batteries in houses just before they kind of became popular. And I always like to think I handed my thesis in on the Monday, and the Friday Elon Musk announced the Powerball. So it was pretty cool.
Did he read the thesis, do you think?
I think he read my thesis and went, good idea, get this out
I'm
quick,
going to
guys.
pivot into this.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, just to confirm, not a medical doctorate then.
Not a medical doctor.
So don't call you on a plane.
Don't call me on a plane.
Okay.
If anyone's pregnant, I can't help. I mean, I couldn't help anyway. I'd pass out. But, I'm so bad. So I did that, and it was a 4-hour-long exam, and it was saying, if we put batteries in people's houses, what's the added value? And I'm a sort of half engineer, half finance kind of guy. And it said across the whole of the northwest of England, if you start putting batteries in houses, it can knock 100 million quid off the cost of upgrading the grid around here to get us to net zero. Wow. And that was just in the cost of upgrading the grid right next to your house. Never mind about all the national grid stuff and the big pylons we see. From there, I've worked all over the world. I worked for a company in London. We got the first sort of residential battery offer in the UK. I've worked in Kenya doing big microgrids, in Eritrea building microgrids out there. So that's power the first time it's ever been in these places, putting wires into people's houses and everything. Worked out in New Zealand for a long time, building. So I sort of developed their first big battery out there, which was originally called Project Mallard. I'm a bit of a steam train geek as well as being an energy geek. I mean, I don't know.
You named it?
Yeah, well, it was. They took the name away from me, sadly.
So favourite steam train Mallard?
Favourite steam train Mallard.
Blue one, yeah?
The blue one, yeah. The blue one, yeah.
That's my favourite. Yeah. Genuinely, it is. Weirdly.
Good choice. No, nice.
See? What's your favourite, Si?
I just associated the ducks, so it
doesn't work.
I don't have a favourite.
No, the Mallard, it always looked like a super steam train.
It's a beautiful thing, yeah.
Feels like we're going off topic, I'll be honest.
It's a big community. I mean, if they're watching.
The trade spotter community.
The trade spotter community, yeah. And,
I don't think that was a demographic we were targeting, but
should be.
Please.
I don't know how I've got a girlfriend, actually. This is a great mystery to me.
It's a very different show.
Steam train geek, battery geek, you know. So I did that, and we've done we did a mini grid, or we're doing a mini grid on my old company is on a volcano in the middle of the Pacific.
Wow.
Really, really cool stuff. And moved back to the UK for some family stuff going on, and gave up on New Zealand. Thought I'm not going to get to go back there. Got to look after mum. And then SolarZero rang up and says, we get on quite well. I know the founder really well. He's brought up near me. Do you want to come join and help us grow? And so I've been at SolarZero for 2 months. Got a weird title, it's like Director of New Energy, which I don't quite know what that means. I think he's just giving me
something. It sounds good though, doesn't it?
That's what he's done.
It sounds
he's
great.
Like totally sales. He's like, Andrew will fall for it. He's got a good title. Yeah, absolutely. I'll take it. Yeah. They're not even paying me.
Yeah, what's the remuneration package? I don't know about that.
Director of New Energy. Yeah, I mean, so my job's so SolarZero, I guess a bit about them would be useful.
Yeah, please.
We're like the biggest solar company in New Zealand. 40% of every house that's got solar is ours.
Wow.
And our model is that we install it for free, and the customer signs a 20-year agreement. It's a bit like the Netflix of energy, is how we think about it. It's a 20-year agreement. You get solar, you get a battery. We manage it for 20 years. We use it to provide backup. We use it to help reduce your bill, and we guarantee a saving on your bill. It kind of gets you to net zero electric quite quickly, and for no upfront cost. And I've loved the business for a long time, always wanted to work with them, really inspired by Andy, who founded it. Our install rates, you look at our customers, we've got 11,000 now in New Zealand, 11,000 people, batteries that we operate. They're from all social groups, rich, poor, all across the country, north to south, all different types of lifestyles. And it's a very universally appealing product. Mm. And if we're going to get to net zero 20 million houses in the UK, 22 million. You'll know the number. How many houses have got in the UK?
28.
28 million.
Big number.
It's a big number, and that's a lot of variety. And what I liked about SolarZero was that the offer and the way they package it is actually accessible to a big chunk of that 28 million, not just people who've got, 5-6 grand in their pocket to buy solar, another 5-6 grand to get a really good battery in there.
Is backup an issue in New Zealand?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, people really want it. There was Cyclone Gabriel, I think, came through the country earlier this year and wiped out, power for 3-4 days to some parts of the community. Some regions are still very isolated from power, and our customers still have power. They're still going. The fridges are running, the internet was running, the data was running. So I think that's actually been a really good reminder for us as a business about why we're doing this. People switched off from power with nothing across in so many parts of New Zealand. Our customers were still, lights were still on. That's why we do it. It's like we've said from the start that getting solar and batteries in people's houses is so important, not just for carbon. It's about continuing life and having an emergency response.
Yeah, you need it. But so, what is that proposition then? If you, because I'm sure if you were to survey most people in the UK, I mean, for a start, we don't have a huge amount of. I suppose the obvious thing was we don't have as much sun, I would imagine, as New Zealand. But as I would certainly think, seen over the last few weeks, the amount of solar gain that we've had.
Yeah.
So I would imagine if you surveyed most people in the UK, they would be interested in or seriously consider solar.
Yeah.
But the barrier naturally would be the capital cost.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you didn't have the perfect roof orientation or whatever it might be, if somebody gave you that system for free, for instance, you're probably going to have a good think about it. But what is the proposition that SolarZero gives to their customers?
Yeah, well, the proposition's very straightforward. You sign a 20-year agreement. We'll put solar on your roof, and you pay for it through your energy bill. And your energy bill is less than what it would have been if you didn't have the solar there and the battery. That's it. So we go, we'll knock X% off your bill, and what we want in return is a 20-year contract because we've got to pay off all that money. We have your power is coming from the solar, it's coming from the battery, and when they're flat, we have a partner. We call them partner retailers. So there's an Ecotricity New Zealand who provide the bulk of the grid electricity to balance that out. So customers are better off from day one, and they're getting backup. And the other thing we do is we manage the batteries as a fleet. So at the minute it's 11,000 batteries in New Zealand. We want it to be 100,000 by 2030. And we've had a big investment recently to get to that target. And those batteries are acting as a swarm, as a fleet. So if National Grid in New Zealand is short on power, we can start to trickle our batteries into the grid to keep the lights on. It's sort of almost providing the peak power.
Yeah. Rather than turning on fossil fuel power stations, whatever it might be.
Rather than turning an expensive gas engine on down the road, we use our batteries to meet that demand.
But I'm assuming that in turn then starts to stabilise energy prices.
Yeah,
both in the customer's home, I would imagine, but the minute you put solar and battery onto the home, as you say, instantaneously, they're going to see a reduction in their energy consumption. So They're going to have a tangible financial benefit. But then on top of that, they start to pay towards the solar service itself to pay off that finance.
Yeah, I think the way I like to think about it is right now, what are your options to reduce your bill? You can try and use less, wear a jumper, don't turn the heating on as much, buy an energy efficient fridge, double glazing, all that kind of stuff. Only gets you so far. Grid prices are going up and they will always go up. And that's the projection for the foreseeable. We've got a really great alternative. We can go in, we can put solar in and stabilise and lock out and fix 60 to 8% of your electricity bill for the next 20 years.
That's amazing.
It's
especially for a customer. So you're removing that upfront capital cost barrier.
Yeah. You're
then providing them with energy security over that period of time. And I suppose the concern that I don't know whether you came across this in New Zealand as well. In the UK, we had rent a roof.
Yeah.
Is is the solar service scheme similar to that? It sounds like it's a similar length contract, or
yeah. I mean, I think we're sort of a very evolved proposition. In New Zealand, there was never a thing rent a roof or anything like that. We going in, it's no capital cost, and it's a long-term agreement. We're selling you power. We're backing ourselves to sell you that power to fixed rate for 20 years. We're saying it will be cheaper than grid electricity. It's very appealing. Quite a common issue in the UK. I mean, it's not something I don't think is practically an issue. I think a couple of people have had problems. Is when you sell a house and you've got solar on your roof. In New Zealand, we don't have any issues. Our customers are selling houses and moving on all the time. And what we're sort of finding is that I think 90% of people the incoming person is taking on our contract because it's so compelling. You're like saying to the person buying your house, you're buying our house, it's £200,000-300,000. You can tell I'm from Doncaster, that's the house price where I am. But you're saying to the incoming person, and you're getting this contract that reduces your electricity bill lower than everyone else around you. So
It's
people are just
no-brainer.
adopting it. It's quite an easy conversation. I've sat in the office in Auckland, hearing the conversations with the sales reps, talking to the customers and really engaging with them. And it's a very easy conversation around, okay, you're moving house, cool. Do you want to take the system with you? You can pay a fee to take it with you to your new house. Or do you want to leave it for the new customer? And actually, it's really interesting. A lot of our customers give the SolarZero contract to the next homeowner and then sign a new SolarZero contract on the next home. You know, it just
I think
carry on.
that's an incredible part. The ability to it is a mindset thing. I think for the UK, we own what we own, and that whole part of going into somebody's house and you're buying a house, and then you start taking on the burden of what somebody else has had in the past. We've seen that with Green Deal, and we've seen that with Rent a Roof, and but I think it will normalize. I think that will become the norm because nobody will be looking at these huge capital costs, big expense to have this work done, and then and somebody else further down the line getting the benefit of you putting that money in. It will be these energy, heat, solar as a service packages will come to market, and we've actually so Tom is heading up a project that we're involved in as HETO called the Green Homes Finance Accelerator, which I think starts to look at how that proposition that you've developed there within SolarZero in New Zealand, how that can come to the UK. So can you just talk to us, Tom, a little bit around what is the Green Homes Finance Accelerator and what's it trying to achieve?
So essentially the Green Homes Finance Accelerator was set up to unlock the benefits of new innovative finance to drive energy efficiency and renewables. So the whole aim was that people could come up with an idea for something that would take the capital cost problem away. But the ultimate objective had to be that a homeowner would do something. So they'd take the borrowing and then make a change, put an energy efficiency improvement in or a renewable. So we're on 2 projects on the Finance Accelerator. The first one is very similar to what you're experiencing in New Zealand. So looking at developing energy as a service, which is installing solar, battery, and a heat pump to essentially take the homeowner on a journey where it becomes a service as opposed to a capital outlay, with the idea being that they go into a contract where their energy bills are reduced. So why wouldn't they do it?
Yeah.
But in order to reduce their energy bills, we're going to have to install some equipment that's going to facilitate that. And then the other project we're working on is a slightly different one, which is looking at a green mortgage. So a mortgage that basically incentivizes people to make an improvement. So if a homeowner makes an improvement in the home that reduces their energy use, so installing solar or heat pumps or a combination, once that's validated, which is what we're looking to do with our technology, the mortgage provider will lower their interest rate. So there's a direct incentive. Not only will the homeowner have a better loan to value ratio, they'll have lower energy costs, but they're also reducing the interest on their entire mortgage as a result of making improvements that they want to make anyway.
So you say you're reducing the monthly outlay for a customer. The mortgage company's recognising that they're less risky.
Yep.
There's more value in the house.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
So the lower net, they get lower monthly energy bills and lower mortgage payments, and an increase in value.
Why I think what HETO is doing and what we're doing in New Zealand and hoping to do in other countries is, if you got 10 grand in your pocket, what are you going to do with it? You might buy a car, you might buy an electric car, you might go on holiday. you might go, put an extension on the house. Not a lot of people are going to go buy solar and batteries because they are quite boring to look at. For most people, they're boring. I think the most exciting thing in the world.
Tends to be a theme with the people bring on the show. The actual, we find the tech really sexy and exciting, but the reality is nobody really cares that much.
Emma is really turned off by it. That's fine. I can do many conversations in the evening. But the thing is, with these these options, you're like, well, you could spend £200 a month buying grid electricity, or you could spend £170 a month, get solar, get battery, get backup, get a heat pump, reduce your mortgage cost. It almost makes it a no-brainer. Yeah. And to get to 28 million houses, which are decarbonised with low carbon heat, low carbon power, generate their own electricity, storing it and using it intelligently, you're going to need something that's a no-brainer.
And if we can just we're not talking light years away. New Zealand are obviously a lot further ahead than we are.
They're in some spaces. In this particular sector, they are.
I would say it's been a mindset as well.
Yeah.
But we're talking the finance accelerator that Tom's just talked around there. Those projects, if the discovery phases are successful, we're talking about deploying these solutions, a solar as a service, energy as a service proposition from January next year.
Yeah.
So we're not talking pie in the sky with these things. This is talking about bringing this proposition to UK homes. And if we take away all the tech and we take away all the industry jargon, what we're talking about is exactly what you touched on there. Are you paying £200 a month for your energy? Do you want to pay £150 a month for your energy and be less affected by energy price fluctuations in the future?
And be decarbonised.
Yeah.
Which is a massive motivation for people.
I think it's a big motivation for a certain proportion of people.
Yeah.
I think if we survey the majority of consumers across the UK, what is it that they're searching for? How do I spend less on energy? How do I reduce my energy bills? If you can target that with a simple proposition to say, we're going to reduce your energy bill by this much. And then absolutely a secondary benefit is, the decarbonisation point. That's all around being more green, being more sustainable.
I think it'd be really interesting, and I hope we can do a lot of this journey together, is how that changes. Because I think what we're saying to people in New Zealand is, because it's so easy to get to low carbon, I think people are more open to it. It's like, do you want to be low carbon?
It's not nice to have.
No, because I've got to spend a lot, like tens of thousands of pounds. You know what I mean? It's whereas you go, and it's easy. You go, of course I do. Of course I want to be. And that's why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And we joked about my job title. Actually, what Andy got me was we chatted for ages before I signed the contracts. And really good job, really nice developer in the UK, great people. He said, we decided the mission was, how do we decarbonise? Build a product that can decarbonise any home in the world. That's the objective. Now I'm not saying we're going to do how many billion houses are in the world, Tom?
Several
billion. It's got all the numbers.
Quick
bang. You're not saying we're going to achieve that, but to build a product that could do that is a really good ambition.
Yeah.
And I think it's really nice to be chatting to you guys and hearing what you're up to, because it's also a wider piece. It's not just about heat, and it's also not just about solar and batteries. It's about all that working together and working with the grid.
Absolutely.
We've those 11,000 batteries. It's supposed to be the largest collection of batteries in Asia Pacific, bigger than anything in Australia, bigger than anything in Japan. The whole region with the biggest collection of batteries, and they're all working together to help the customer first, back up their power, reduce their bills, and help New Zealand's grid get to net zero.
That's incredible.
Someone said to me yesterday, it's going to take 10 years to rebuild, to upgrade New Zealand's grid to help it get to net zero. We can put a battery in people's houses in about 3 months.
Yeah.
That's the kind of difference in scale. So it's part of the tool set, I think, to get to net zero. That's why I do it.
Yeah, and it's mega exciting. And I say, if we can see this coming to UK homes over the next 12 months, I think that's going to be a game changer.
I hope
so. See that coming over.
Yeah.
So in part 2, we're going to be discussing your own personal sustainability journey about your renovation. So thank you very much, and join us for part 2.